I'm not really familiar with this. Our kids grew up together. Asian girls.
wasn't intended to be a solo. Let's have everybody.
Page 2 are words by Herschel Matt, the father of Danny Matt, the great scholar translating the Zohar. To seek renewal. On this night, O God, we have come into your house to pray in your sanctuary. But if the heavens are merely your throne, if the earth is but your footstool, if the heaven of heavens cannot contain you, how much less this house, built by mere human hands? Yet although your dwelling place is every place, and although you can be sought and found in any place, it is to this place that we have come most confidently to seek renewal in your purifying presence. We begin tonight the new year, Tuf Shin Ayin Tet, 5779. It feels not too long ago that we were here together a year ago. More and more, maybe because I'm getting older, we're all getting older. We're all a year older. It feels like a conveyor belt of time. And having Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur as a time to pause helps us reflect on the year past and prepare us for, God willing, a new year in which we will be better and in which life will be better for us and for all. Page 5 is a call to prayer. The Baruch Hu calls on us to acknowledge that we are blessed. Praised are you, ever-present one, the source of blessing. We rise, page 5.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Mevorach. Baruch Adonai Mevorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai Mevorach leolam vaed.
You may be seated as we read together the middle of page 5. In English, Baruch Atah Adonai, our God, ruler of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's divisions, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzvot is your name, living and ever-present God, May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk.
Umavir yom, umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uben laila. Adonai tzivaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamidim ochalenu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai.
Page 6.
Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu levarta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, v'shokreinu Nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu v'orech yameinu, v'orech yameinu, V'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'yavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol lavavcha, u'chol nafshecha, u'chol me'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shiftecha b'veitecha, u'lechecha b'derech, u'v'shochvecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam le'od al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha, u'ktatam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha.
Page 7. Vayam shemot tishmuim mitzvotai.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Emuna Gozavaka Yamaleinu middle of page 8.
Umalchuto v'ratzon kiblo alehem Moshe Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam mi chamocha v'olim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh norati Malchutecha ra'u banecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe zeli anu ve'yamru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov u'gyalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Go'al Yisrael.
We read together in English, page 9. Allow us, Adonai our God, to sleep peacefully and to waken again to life, our sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us, remove from us enemies and pestilence, swords, starvation, and sorrow, and remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us, and you are the sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and our coming for life and peace, now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us and over all the people Israel and over Jerusalem.
Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha, Baruch atah Adonai. Apore sukat shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
We rise, page 10.
Tiku v'chodesh shofar B'kesel yom chagenu Ki chok liYisrael hu Mishpat leElohei Yaakov Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah V'yomad yivrach yiruhutei V'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'vyomechon U'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael B'agalav izman kariv V'imru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba mevorach Le'olam u'lo me'omaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shemei dekutshav richu le'elah le'elah mikol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran mi alma vimeru. Amen.
Pages 11 to 17 privately.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה. בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה. לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ויאמרה ואמרו. תתקבל צלות הון ובעוד ההון דכל ישראל קדם ובהון בשמיה ואמרו. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו.
Beth Elster, representing our board with announcements. You can also compliment Beth for the work she did putting together that calendar that you can get when you come in or when you leave that has all the announcements for the whole next year.
Be sure to take one because there's a lot of work. Hashanah Tova to everybody. Welcome to services tonight. I want to thank Rabbi Spitz and Hal Hurwitz for leading the beautiful services. And I'm just going to give you a rundown on what's happening tomorrow. So day one, the main service is here in the sanctuary at 8 a.m. Family services with Carl Cedar begin at 9 a.m. in the Family Life Center across the way. There's going to be a teen-led service with Max Ginsberg. And it's going to begin at 9:30 upstairs in rooms 201 and 202. Then junior congregation for children in grades K through 5 will be with Carl Cedar at 10:30 in the Family Life Center. And after services in the afternoon tomorrow, there's going to be Tashlich with Rabbi Spitz at the Tustin Ranch Golf Course. That's going to be at 5:15 p.m. And then Mincha Maariv will be back here at 6:30 p.m. So if that's a lot to remember right now, just look at your tickets, and most of that should be there also. On behalf of myself, my family, and the board, I wish everybody a happy and a healthy new year. Hashanah Tova.
Every year, at the first night of Rosh Hashanah, it's the one time of year that I count how many years I've had the privilege to be the rabbi of CBI. Tonight is my 31st high holidays with the congregation, which is hard to conceptualize. The passing of time has an element of mystery about it. It's mysterious in that when we look forward, it seems like it's going to go slowly, but when we look back, it goes very quickly. And in fact, at this phase of life, at the age of 64, I'm aware that it's a conveyor belt of time and that it just keeps moving. As I look around, it's so gratifying, particularly because it's the beginning of a new year. There is a sense of fresh eyes, of looking around and seeing faces that I've shared my life with, your lives with, through these years. My very first bat mitzvah was Stephanie Sklar. Lance Stern wasn't that far after, which is to say that some of my bar and bat mitzvahs are now in their 40s. And it's all, or close to it. And so that quality of time, that time keeps moving, is an awareness that every year is a gift. And as we sit here together this year, I am aware, looking around the room, that for some it's been a year with health challenges. And that kind of year is a difficult year. A year that at times was touched by pain and the slowness that comes with dealing with uncertainty. And so it is our tradition as we begin a new year to pray for each other that it should be looking forward, a year of renewed health. That's always number one. We say, there's this Hasidic expression that it should be a good and a sweet year. And that's a later addition to the Shana Tova greetings. Sweet was added because on Rosh Hashanah, we're called to review our past year and to learn from it. And often our most influential teacher has been the difficulties that were unanticipated. So as we look back, sometimes it was those physical challenges that were our teachers. And again, we look forward hoping that we won't have to learn from pain. And so that's where the expression developed, looking forward, that may it be a good and a sweet year, that we shouldn't have to learn from the challenges that are also part of life. In fact, a congregant came to see me a couple years ago, and I begin to tell this because what I'll talk about tonight is my sabbatical. A little bit about what I feel I gained, drew from this year of travel. But the prompt to travel was due in part to a congregant who I was very fond of, who had retired about a year before and had developed a chronic illness 6 months into retirement. And he came feeling depressed, and he said to me, I was healthy, and then I wasn't. And it was a reminder that there are no guarantees, and that we have our health while we do. I will add, I've seen him since, he's much better, which is also to add that there is always hope as we look forward with health. I went to see somebody. I grew up reading these stories of the rabbi who comes high holidays, they can't find him. I identify part with that story. Everyone wants to get started, they can't find the rabbi. And they can't find the rabbi because he's out helping an old widow get wood for her fire. And I was always so touched by those stories that I have this custom of traveling, which in this case was on Friday with my shofar, to visit some congregants who have been struggling with illness. And one who's just been re-diagnosed, she'll find out this week if it's a cancer or not, has literally been for 15 years struggling and not. And always one step ahead, or I should say, one step guided by the latest advance. So now she's doing infusion therapy rather than chemotherapy, which allows her to have a life. So I pause, knowing the service is almost over. And you've come a long way, so I have a little more canvas of time. Pause to say that health is not to be taken for granted, that our lives are here only as a visit. And as that man came and said to me, I was healthy, and then I wasn't. As I looked forward to sabbatical, Linda and I said, you know, we're both healthy now, but there are no guarantees. Now is the chance to do the kind of travel that we might not be able to do in 5 years, let alone in 10 years. And it was her guidance to say, what interests us are cultures of the world. And that's the reason we should probably focus on places like Asia, where to parts we haven't been, and later as it unfolded to Africa. Because for me, there's nothing more remarkable than people, and how we who share in common our physicality, who share in common the same challenges of health, yet put together how we define meaning, how we create community, how we celebrate life, often in different ways. And so we had the privilege, because of you, and I want to pause to thank you, the congregation of B'nai Israel, in my 30th year, to have the year to explore the world. To be a rabbi is to be immersed in community, and it is deeply gratifying, and to do it well means to identify, to feel people's pain, and therefore to be fatigued at times. And a sabbatical, that is my fourth, is what has allowed me to stay on as the rabbi throughout these years, with the opportunity to step away, catch my breath, and come back. So we had a canvas of time that was 38 weeks. 38 seems significant in that the Israelites traveled for 38 years from Mount Sinai to reach the Promised Land. So 38 had some significance. It wasn't all travel. 10 of the 38 weeks were spent in Israel. That was travel too. But Israel, for me, for most of us, Israel feels like going home, deeply for me. And so when I am in Israel, I'm blessed to have much family and friends. It does feel like I am learning about Israel, but mostly I am enjoying my life that I'm sharing in Israel. It was one of my goals to be in Israel for the 70th birthday. And on Yom Kippur break, I will talk about Israel in greater depth and talk about the growing divide between American Jews and Israeli Jews, and talk about it in a way that I wouldn't do as a sermon, which means that I will be political. I will not be political in any of my sermons, but I will in a conversation. And so Yom Kippur break, I will share both some of the political observations of life in Israel and those tensions with America. So the canvas, 10 weeks in Israel, 3 visits back to America for different reasons, which was about 6 weeks, which left about 22 weeks to be on the road. When Linda and I got married, we went and did a Myers-Briggs exam. We didn't do it, you were already married, we didn't do it to decide to get married. I was working in a hospital as a chaplain that summer. I was still in rabbinical school, and they gave us all Myers-Briggs exams, these personality assessments. So I brought one to Linda to fill out as well, and brought it back to my boss at the hospital. And he looked at the results and he said, "It's remarkable how similar you are, but I'd never want to travel with you." I said, "Why? We love to travel." He said, "I can see." He said, "You're remarkably similar, and the most extreme quality about the two of you is spontaneity. You're off the chart. You'd probably go to Africa on a week's notice. I said we did go to Africa for our honeymoon on 5 days' notice. And so what we brought in terms of a similarity of attitude is this willingness to be present in a moment and be spontaneous, and to do so driven by an intense kind of curiosity. I'm privileged to have my daughter Anna home tonight from New York. All three of our California children now live in New York. Life in America. Our children, when we've traveled with them, try to get us to sit on beaches. And for them, we do. But by disposition, we're not wired that way. And I don't therefore know why you are. But the children have educated us to enjoy relaxation. But by and so our curiosity and our spontaneity are here, congregants who do international travel, who did a lot of our initial planning in Asia and allowed us to start traveling because I didn't have the time before the holidays. So a little bit of an overview, but my goal in sharing about my trip is not to do Anthony Bourdain kind of travel stories. Rather, it's to model something for all of us. What I look to model in the next 10 minutes or 15, it's a short service, but I don't want to keep you. It's a long service for the next 2 days as well. What I want to model for you is the opportunity to pause tonight as well as tomorrow and the next day, to pause to reflect on your year. Every year is a journey, a year in which, frankly, what is often most impactful was not anticipated, sitting in synagogue a year before. Tonight is the opportunity to harvest, to begin to reflect on what you gained this last year and how that prepares you looking forward. Looking forward. I have one teacher who's particularly wise, and I said to him, you know, what's your guidance on travel? And he said, my key guidance is to make your wife happy. He said, because this particular sabbatical will be your last, and it's the one that will prepare you for what will be afterwards, which will be more time with your wife. And I heard her laugh. She wasn't sitting here. I thought I was speaking with her not being in the room. She's laughing apparently because she can judge for herself whether I met that test or not. Which is just to say it's a very high bar. Mark Twain said, I should quote him to be exact. Mark Twain said, I have found that there ain't no sure way to find out whether you like people or hate them than to travel with them. I love you, dear. And it was a good year. So one thing I learned is that there's value in traveling sometimes as a group. We left last year in October with CBI and CSP, the Community Scholar Program, doing a trip to Israel together. We've done a trip to Israel together as a congregation before and hopefully will again in the future. What I was reminded in traveling with a group is that there are things you can do in a group you can't do alone, because it takes sometimes money to bring in speakers that you would want to meet. In Israel, on that trip, we met people like Amos Oz, one of Israel's foremost writers, Edgar Carrot, Linda's favorite satirist. We were able to go into places like a refugee camp, a Palestinian refugee camp, Aida, located in Bethlehem with the New York Times writer. for the Palestinians and get a sense of what a Palestinian refugee camp is like, which we would not have been able to do traveling alone. So although by disposition we are spontaneous, there was great value in particular in going to Israel. I've lived in Israel for 5 years, adding up all my time, and there was so much more to discover. I'll just say a word about Israel. Israel is a miracle. It is a miracle. It is a country that is surrounded by one of the toughest neighborhoods in the world, in which it's constantly having to deal with the fact that there are missiles falling, in which the young people, rather than planning to go to college, have to prepare to go to the army. A country that is claustrophobic because of enemies all around on the other side. And do you know that Israel, in the most recent UN survey, was ranked the 11th happiest country in the world? 11th happiest. America was 15th or 18th. It had gone down. 11th because of a shared sense of place and purpose. I was there for the 70th anniversary of Israel. I first went with a cousin of mine to the Holocaust Memorial. It was an event. I got tickets through a friend where who's who from the Israeli government presented. Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke, the President of Israel spoke, Supreme Court was all present. It was a great privilege to be in that moment with the leadership of Israel. And I went with a cousin named Eli Spitz. He's named for the same ancestor that I'm named for. But when he finished college, he went to the Weizmann Institute some 40 years ago and got a master's in computer science. Stayed on in Israel where he raised a family of 10 and became an active settler. And so when we went together to the Holocaust Memorial, he presented his Teudat Zehut, his Israeli ID card. It said Eli Spitz. I presented my passport that said Eli Spitz. The guard looked at these two names, looked at the two of us, and said in Hebrew, "How did this happen?" To which we replied, "For the same person." What was different about that Yom HaShoah and the 6 representatives of the 6 million, what was different for me is their video story. They all talked, they came from different parts of the world. Some are men, some are women, each had a distinctive story. But what they all shared in common in the little video was that they had survived and had gone on to help build the Jewish country, and in the video were surrounded by grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And that sense of the privilege of our extended family to live in Israel, to have dedicated their lives to building a Jewish country. To my regret, property in Israel has more than tripled in the last 15 years. My regret that I didn't buy 15 years ago. So that today Tel Aviv is more expensive than New York. Housing is more expensive today in Tel Aviv than in New York City. I just saw that statistic last week. And that's because Israel has become an engine of talented startups that are doing very well. You saw just this last week, SodaStream, that had its major factory around the Jericho area and had to move because of BDS, just sold to one of the major soda companies for several $billion. That was just last week. So Israel's economy you just can't believe it. And I'll add one more, and here I am talking about Israel rather than the other 15 countries I went to. Israel has natural gas off of the Haifa area, and in the next 3 to 5 years will be one of the world's leading producers of natural gas in the world. They're currently building a pipe to Cyprus, and from Cyprus it will go to Europe, so that Israel's economy now will go that much higher. So that's Israel, and so much more to say about it, but it's not all easy. No place is easy up close, but Israel is even more uneasy up close. So some of the lessons of travel. I won't talk about all the countries, but I'll tell you what they were, just to give you context. Nepal, parts of India we hadn't been to, Bhutan, a mountain kingdom in the Himalayas, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, islands in the Indian Ocean, Muslim islands that are famous for their scuba diving, the Seychelles on the way to South Africa, islands off of the central coast of Africa, South Africa with a brief visit to Zambia and then to Zimbabwe, back to South Africa and then to Dubai, from Dubai to Spain, back to America for the gala and other events, and then returning for me to Israel, house-sitting a friend's apartment for a month, and then reconnecting with Linda as we went to Denmark to meet our children so that Anna and John could join us in Israel, and ending up in Italy and Morocco. The Morocco trip we did with an Israeli tour group. It was 11 days immersed in Hebrew and Israeli culture. So the tail end. Israel's the front end, Morocco, the Israeli group, the tail end. One of the reasons we wanted to be with an Israeli group is we were fascinated wherever we traveled, whether South Africa to places like Uchhorn, a remarkable place in South Africa, because I bring to mind an Israeli group in Uchhorn. Uchhorn is one of those experiences of the imprints of Jews around the world. Before World War I, the big fashion statement were ostrich feathers. Lithuanian Jews who had gone to Uchhorn were at the center of the ostrich feather business in the world. It was like gold mining, but better. They weren't as heavy. And they would ship them all over the world. And there are still Jews in Uchhorn. But it's really in the middle of nowhere to speak of. And there we are in Uchhorn, and there's not just one tour bus of Israelis, there's 2 tour buses. And they got it wired, so where we have to sit outside in the sun to eat lunch with our tour guide, the Israeli tour groups, they go inside to eat. They have it wired. They're well taken care of. But what was distinctive about the Israeli tour groups is their age. The most common tour groups you now see in most places in the world are Chinese tour groups. China, money has begun to roll, and they have a real problem. The Chinese don't speak English. English is the language of the world. They therefore have to be in a tour group. They can't travel on their own by and large. Israelis, in contrast, choose to travel in tour groups because of their army experience or their cultural experience. It's a nation that's very familial. And what's different is they travel in their 70s and 80s and even more. We saw them in the Maldives, a Muslim country. We saw them in the Seychelles. In Morocco, there are 50,000 Israeli tourists a year. When you go into the mountains, there's people always trying to sell something, and they'll say in Hebrew, the children have learned Hebrew in the mountains of Morocco, and they'll say, and we'll take shekels, because there aren't such many tour groups going to Morocco in terms of 50,000 a year from one country, from Israel. And so we chose to travel in Morocco for 11 days with a religious tour group, because that way it was going to be kosher and observe Shabbat. And they were very, as if it was the army, they were on time. Times there'd be a little complaining, our people. But by and large, the least spoiled people I've ever traveled with. Willing to walk and push themselves and stay up late to do it. And so to pull it together without a review of all these countries, to say as follows. Last Saturday night, I put together photos. It was my first photo slideshow in honor of Slichot about my travels. And as I gathered my photos, what I became aware of is my own delight in reviewing all the places Linda and I had been. But what I am also aware of is it wasn't always that easy. It was fatiguing to be on the road in a different bed every 2 or 3 nights. Sometimes people trying to take advantage of you, and sometimes succeeding. We both wound up in the ER for different things at one point or another, which just goes with the demands of the road. And so the first thing I became aware of is that as gratifying as it is to look at when it's done, in the midst of doing it, in any one day, somebody's a little bit cranky, you're a little bit hassled, you're a little tired. It doesn't move smoothly. It's effort to travel. And I'm reminded that one day, as I look back at my life, or for all of us, as we just look back over this last year, we should be able to call up those moments that make us smile, and yet know that the same moments that made us smile were often embedded in challenge. Or as I told my children when they were small, good things come wrapped in hassle. For indeed, that's the case. And so the first thing I learned in completing my trip is that whatever I'm doing, whatever any of us are doing, we have to keep in mind that the time is finite, because that trip, sabbatical, it's over. And one day, I'll say the same thing about my life. The time that we have is finite. And day in and day out, no matter how well off we are, there is hassle. And yet, we are to savor and enjoy precisely because it's precious. It is finite and therefore precious in the years that we have. The thing I learned is that among the things that were most memorable and gratifying are the things that took the most effort and were a little scary. So hiking, as we did for only 5 days, now, in the Himalayas meant day 1, 3,300 steps, and not knowing how we would adjust to the altitude, getting closer to the Himalayas. Or my paragliding for the first time, which means flying off a mountain with a guy on my back, was exhilarating. Or scuba diving for the first time. I had never scuba dived, nor had Linda, and we were in the Maldives, among the most beautiful coral reefs in the world. It was a bit like a bicycle with trainer wheels, in that we had our own scuba diver with us, just for the two of us, teaching us how to breathe and then how to go underwater. And ultimately, I'd be going underwater 40 feet, 45 feet. And you look up, and there is just water and more. The fish are swimming all around you, and you're like part of a new world, for me, a new world, of being with the fish, of looking down at the corals, these beautiful purple and blue corals as they open up and swallow fish. There's a world of surprise and beauty that took, literally, my breath away, but I had an oxygen mask. But that, too, is not something that came without trepidation, which is also to remind myself that in looking forward, the things that are often the most rewarding and memorable take careful planning, careful consideration of the risks, but are a product of stretching ourselves. The more we stretch, the more we grow, the more we're surprised. Last, I want to just say what a beautiful world we have. A beautiful world, and a world that in many ways is challenged. To be able to see those Himalayas and to walk in the mountains is to feel the privilege of a world in which there are mountains 30,000 feet tall, the ceiling of the earth. But those mountains used to be white all year round. In November, they were patchy. The world's climate is changing. In South Africa, Linda and I were so grateful to be there because there was so much beauty, but such a water shortage. And it is in part because of a lack of planning in places like Cape Town. But it's more than that. There is drought throughout Africa, and there's a huge displacement that's going on in the world today. And so I was reminded of the gift we all have of a beautiful world that is in many ways endangered, in ways that are hard to fathom, but clearly changing, and is our responsibility to help preserve. So those are three takeaways: that life is precious, and that we are to look back and understand that life always has some hassle, but that's part of life, and it's to be savored and enjoyed while we can. That the world in which we live is a world of enormous beauty, and it is our privilege to live in this world, a gift from God. And that as we look forward in the year to come, that setting goals for ourselves that are a stretch, no matter our age, to find those things that allow us to feel more engaged with life, is to feel the gift of life. May you each, tonight and tomorrow and the next day, take some time to reflect on this last year. There is so much I would want to tell in terms of the amazing people we met and the memories that Linda and I were able to fashion together. It was a wonderful year. Ribono Shalom, Master of the Universe, as we reflect on our years, may we each draw out goodness, and may what we draw out motivate us as we look forward to not take for granted the goodness of our lives, although good things come wrapped in hassle, because that's how it is. May we savor the goodness, and may we live a life of gratitude. Amen. Our service continues as we turn to Hal having a drink on us, for it's time for Kiddush on page 24. But because we don't have a Kiddush cup in place, and Helene Coulter just does whatever is required in the moment, we want to thank her. Page 25, we rise Aleinu.
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונה.
אנחנו קוראים ושחבים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא
נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגוהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך. כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. אין עוד אלוקינו כבוד מנוזך. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Mourner's Kaddish, page 26. I invite you to be seated if you'd like. Those observing a yurtside or who are in mourning, we join together, honoring the memory of our loved ones. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, Ba'galau v'zman kari v'imru amei, Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam olmei olmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shemei dekudsha barichu, li'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, Damiran Bialma Vimru Amei, Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael Vimru Amei. Ose Shalom Bimromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'kol Yoshvei Tevel Vimru Amei. Page 27, we read together in English Psalm 27. A Psalm of David. Adonai is my light and my help. Whom shall I fear? Adonai is the stronghold of my life. Whom shall I dread? When evil people assail me to devour my flesh, it is they, my enemies, and those who beseech me, who stumble and fall. Should an armed camp be arrayed against me, my heart would show no fear. Should they war against me, of this I would be sure. One thing I ask of Adonai, to dwell in the house of God all the days of my life, to behold God's beauty and visit in God's sanctuary. For God to hide me in God's sukkah on the calamitous day, for God to enfold me in the secret recesses of God's tent, I would be raised up in a protecting fort. Now I raise my head above the enemies that surround me, and come with offerings amidst trumpet blasts to God's tent, chanting and singing praise to Adonai. Adonai, hear my voice as I cry out. Be gracious to me and answer me. It is you of whom my heart said, seek my face. It is your presence that I seek, Adonai. Do not hide your face from me. Do not act angrily toward me. You have always been my help. Do not forsake me. Do not abandon me, my God, my deliverer. Though my father and my mother abandon me, Adonai will gather me in. Show me your way, Adonai, and lead me on a straight path, despite those who rage against me. Do not hand me over to the grasp of those who beseech me, for false witnesses and those who seek ill have risen against me. If only I could trust that I would see God's goodness in the land of the living. Place your hope in Adonai. Be strong, take courage. Place your hope in Adonai. We conclude in a moment with the Yigdal. Before we do, I want to thank Hal Hurwitz. It's always so calming for me to hear the familiarity of Hal's davening and the skill of his davening. So it adds to my launch of a new year. I want to thank Sandy Klein and Helene Coulter and Anna Cottle in our office and Rabbi Foonberg for our school and all the lay leaders that are here that allow CBI to indeed be a vibrant community. Page 28, Yigdal.
Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishabach nimsa v'yenei del mitziuto echad v'yen yachid keyichudo ne'lam v'gam ein sof le'achuto ein lo demut haguf v'yeino guf lo naroch elav kedushato kadmon lechol davar asher nivra rishon v'yein reshit l'reshito hino adon olam v'chol nosar yoreh gedulato u'malchuto shefa nevuato netano el anshei segulato v'tifarto lo kam beYisrael kemo she'od navi u'mabid et emunato Torah emet natan le'am oel ayad neviyo neman beito lo yachal yifael ve'lo yamir dato le'olamim lezulato sofer ve'yodea setarenu mabid lesof davar ve'kadmato gomer le'ish chesed kemifalo notein le'rashava kedishato yishlach lekeis yamin meshichenu liftot mechakekes yeshuato meitim yechayel merochaso baruch hadeyad shem tehilato
Tova U'Metuka. May we all be blessed with a good and sweet new year.